Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Ashok Goel from the Department of Physics and Astrophysics, University of Delhi. Today we are going to discuss about the module using integral transforms for solving integral equations. In particular, the Laplace transform from the paper Mathematical Physics. So students, let us see what we are going to learn in this module. We will learn in this module the use of Laplace transforms in solving integral equations and then the use of Laplace transforms in mathematics and physics. So let us first discuss how to solve integral equation by integral transforms, in this case the Laplace transform. I must say that one of the techniques that work for some classes of integral equations, not all, is the use of integral transforms. The integral transforms you are already familiar with are the Laplace, Malin and Fourier transforms. These can be used profitably for different classes of integral equations depending on the nature of the equation and the domain over which the variable is integrated in the equation. I will start by defining a Laplace transform and then use the Laplace transform to solve the integral equations. In fact, you must be familiar with these integral transforms. Laplace transform is one of the most useful integral transforms in solving problems in physics. The Laplace transform psi of p of a function phi of t, when the function is defined and is integrable in the interval t between 0 to infinity, then the Laplace transform psi of p is defined as psi of p is equal to the integral from the limit 0 to infinity of the function phi of t multiplied by exponential minus pt integrated over t. That is, given a function phi of t, its Laplace transform psi of p is obtained by integrating the function phi of t multiplied by weight factor exponential minus pt over dt, where the integral range is the range in which the function phi t is defined, is integrable. Now this psi p is called the Laplace transform of the function phi of t, and it exists for such values of p which may be real or complex, for which the integral exists. Now see, though the function phi t is integrable in the interval 0 to infinity, when you integrate phi t with the weight factor exponential minus pt, then this may or may not be integrable depending on the value of p. So the Laplace transform is defined when this is integrable. So the Laplace transform phi t exists only for some values of p which are real or complex, for which the integral exists. For example, if phi of t is exponential t, then psi of p exists for all real values of p greater than 1 from 0 to infinity, because if p has a real part which is greater than 1, then the integral is convergent, otherwise not. Now this definition can be inverted, that given phi p we can obtain phi t. The phi t can be expressed in terms of its Laplace transform psi p. The so phi t is equal to 1 upon 2 pi I times an integral exponential pt psi of p dp, where the integration is along a line parallel to the imaginary axis having a real part gamma greater than p naught, where p naught is such that psi of p exists for real part of p greater than p naught. So when this integral exists, then phi of t is called the inverse Laplace transform. The psi, remember, psi of p is the Laplace transform of phi. So psi t is called the Laplace transform. Phi is the inverse Laplace transform of psi p. Symbolically, if the Laplace transform of phi of t is defined as psi p, then the inverse Laplace transform of psi p, symbolically represented as L inverse of psi of p, is equal to phi of t. So given a function phi t which is integrable in the interval 0 to infinity, we define the Laplace transform psi p as integral 0 to infinity of phi of t multiplied by exponential minus pt. Then the inverse Laplace transform, that is, given psi p, the corresponding phi p can be obtained by again an integral involving the Laplace transform psi of p multiplied by exponential pt integrated over dp over imaginary line as given below and divided by 2 pi I. And symbolically, if the Laplace transform of phi t is written as psi p, then the inverse Laplace transform of psi p is written as L inverse psi of p is equal to phi of t. So having defined the Laplace transform and its inverse, the strategy of using Laplace transform for integral equation consists of taking the Laplace transform of the integral equation. Now, in order to be able to take the Laplace transforms of the integral equation, which requires taking the Laplace transform of the integral of a function, we have to use certain properties of the Laplace transforms. And to this end, we define certain properties. So if the Laplace transform phi k of t is psi k of t, and then if you have a sum of the functions with some coefficients, then the Laplace transform of sigma over k of ak phi k function of t is simply equal to the sum of the Laplace transforms of phi k t multiplied by ak sum over all k's. Now if psi k depends, if the function phi k of t also depends on some parameter g, that is, the function phi k is in fact a function of t as well as of some parameter g. Then if the Laplace transform of the phi k is given, then the Laplace transform of d phi k of t and g with respect to g, that is Laplace transform of ddg of phi k tg is equal to the partial derivative with respect to g of the Laplace transform of phi k tg. That is, the Laplace transform of a partial derivative of a function phi k with respect to the parameter g is equal to the partial derivative with respect to the parameter g of the Laplace transform of phi k. And if the Laplace transform of a function is given, then Laplace transform of a function of a multiplied by t is simply equal to 1 upon a times the Laplace transform of the function t by a. And the Laplace transform of the derivative of the function phi with respect to t, the Laplace transform of d phi by dt, is simply equal to p times the Laplace transform of phi of t minus phi of 0. So Laplace transform of derivative of the function is equal to p times the Laplace transform of the function minus the value of the function at the point 0. And likewise, the Laplace transform of an integral like Laplace transform of 0 to t of phi 1 u phi 2 t minus u du, because such product or two-dimensional integral occurs as we have seen in integral equations. So if we want to use the method of Laplace transform to solve the integral equation, we have to know how to take the Laplace transform of a product of these two functions which are integrated. So the Laplace transform of the two function phi1 evaluated at some point u into phi2 evaluated at the point t minus u over du from the integral 0 to t is simply equal to the Laplace transform of the function phi1 multiplied by the Laplace transform of the function phi2. So it's very interesting. The Laplace transform of this product of functions in this way is simply equal to the product of the Laplace's transform. Now, having armed ourselves with the definition of the Laplace transform and some of its properties, we will now illustrate how to use that to solve the integral equations. So let us consider the integral equation P of t is equal to g of t plus an integral from 0 to t of the product of the function phi of x multiplied by the kernel, which is a function of t minus x. We are interested in solving the integral equation P of t is equal to g of t plus an integral over dx from 0 to t, or the product of the function phi of x and a function k of t minus x. Now, taking the Laplace transform of both sides, we represent the Laplace transform of pt by psi of p, Laplace transform of gt by capital G of p, and from the property of the Laplace transform of a product of two functions within the integral, the Laplace transform of this term is simply equal to the Laplace transform of k, the Laplace transform of k of t minus x, which is k of p, and the Laplace transform of phi, which is psi. So if the Laplace transform of phi is psi and the Laplace transform of g is capital G, the Laplace transform of p is psi of p, and the Laplace transform of the kernel k is capital K of p, then the Laplace transform is transform of the integral equation by using the property which we mentioned earlier is simply that psi of p is equal to g of p plus k of p into psi p, where psi p, gp, kp respectively, as I emphasized earlier, are the Laplace transforms of phi t, gt and kt. Now, from this equation, we can solve for kp. This is just an algebraic equation. So I get psi p is equal to gp divided by 1 minus kp. Therefore, I have gp minus kp divided by 1 minus kp into gp. This can be written in this form is equal to 0. So taking the inverse Laplace transform, so what do I obtain? The inverse Laplace transform of psi of p is phi of t. Inverse Laplace transform of g of p is small g of t, plus we have to take the inverse Laplace transform of this k of p divided by 1 minus kp into g of p, which is equal to the integral 0 to t dx of gx multiplied by some capital H, a function of t minus x, where capital H of a function t is defined as the inverse Laplace transform of k of p 1 minus kp. I mean, it looks complicated, but actually it's quite straightforward. Because all we are doing, see, we start by defining the Laplace transforms of the function phi t, gt and kt as psi p, capital Gp and capital Kt. So, when we take the inverse Laplace transform of psi p is psi t, inverse Laplace transform of Gp is equal to gt, inverse Laplace transform of Gp is equal to gx, inverse Laplace transform of Kp over 1 minus Kp is h of t. So, we get phi of t is equal to g of t plus 0 to t dx multiplied by gx into capital H, a function of t minus x. The solution phi t is thus known in terms of two integrations. So once we can do this integration, see we know the functions g, gt and phi t, so we can now obtain phi t in terms of these two integrations. Let us solve the integral equation phi of t is equal to 1 plus an integral over dx from 0 to t of e to the power minus x into yt minus x. Let us call the Laplace transform of phi of t as psi p. So Laplace transform of phi of t is equal to psi p, and using the property that the Laplace transform of exponential minus t is equal to 1 upon p plus 1, we get, taking the Laplace transform of both sides as psi p, the Laplace transform of f of x is given by phi of t. Then by taking the Laplace transform of the integral equation, we get, on the left hand side we have the Laplace transform of f of x, which is phi of t, the Laplace transform of x square, which is 2 by t square, plus the Laplace transform of the second term dx prime from what we have, from the property we have used earlier. Simply phi t, because the Laplace transform of fx is phi t, so this is a phi t, and the Laplace transform of sine is 1 plus t square. So the Laplace transform of the integral equation f of x is equal to x square plus integral 0 to x over dx prime sine x minus x prime fx prime is equal to, is given by phi of t is equal to 2 by t square plus phi of t divided by t square plus 1. This equation we can solve for phi t, and this gives us phi of t is equal to 2 by t square plus 2 by t4. So all that is required now to solve the equation, to obtain the solution, is to take the inverse Laplace transform of this. So inverse Laplace transform of phi t is equal to f of x. So f of x is equal to the inverse Laplace transform of 2 by t square plus the inverse Laplace transform 2 by t4. Inverse Laplace transform 2 by t square is x square, that of 2 by t4 is x4 by 12. Therefore, the solution of this integral equation is simply given by f of x is equal to x square plus x4 by 12, and it will be very instructive to satisfy yourself by substituting this value of f of x in the integral equation to see that this is indeed satisfied. Continue with these examples. Let us consider the use of Laplace transform method to solve yet another equation. The equation in this case of f of x is equal to x minus 0 to x integral over dx prime of the function f of x prime into x minus x prime. Let's call the Laplace transform of f of x as u of p, and taking the Laplace transform of both sides of this equation, we get u of p is equal to Laplace transform, that is, we get Laplace transform of f of x which is equal to u of p is equal to Laplace transform of x which is equal to 1 of p square minus the Laplace transform of this integral, which by using the property we have used earlier is equal to the Laplace transform of f of x, which is u of p, divided by p square, which is the Laplace transform of x minus x prime. Solving for up again, we get u of p, that is Laplace transform of f of x, is given by 1 upon 1 plus p square. Now it is trivial to obtain the solution by taking the inverse Laplace transform, and taking the inverse Laplace transform of up, which is f of t or f of x, then f of x is simply equal to the inverse Laplace transform of 1 upon 1 plus p square, which is sin x. Therefore, f of x is equal to sin x is simply the solution of the integral equation. I will now illustrate the use of Laplace transform to solve a problem which involves Abel's integral equation. This is an important problem in physics, and Abel's integral equation arises in physics in trying to find out the trajectory along which a bead should fall under gravity such that the time of fall given height is a predetermined function of height. That is, the time of fall depends on the height. So we are given the time of fall is some function of the height, and we have to find the trajectory over which this bead should fall. This equation can be solved using a Laplace transform, as we will see. Let z be the vertical direction and let the bead fall frictionless along some curve whose equation we have to find. Let the curve is equal to L a function of z, where L is the distance measured along the curve from the point z is equal to 0. The bead starts from the point z is equal to z0 at rest. As it falls, now since it is falling freely under gravity, then the conservation of energy gives us that the kinetic energy that it acquires in falling from a height or distance from z0 to z is equal to the potential energy difference. So half mv square is equal to mg z0 minus z at any position z, where v is the speed at that point. Now the time taken to fall from a point, a distance L from z is equal to 0 to a point at a distance L minus dl from z is equal to 0 is given by, obviously, dt is equal to minus dl by v. The minus sign because dl is decreasing, the particle is falling. So it's the distance divided by the velocity. So dt is minus dl by v is equal to minus v is obtained from the conservation equation, half mv square is mg z0 minus z. So dt is equal to minus 2g divided by z0 minus z, the whole thing to the power of 1/2 multiplied by dl. The time taken to fall from the point z0 to a value z equal to e is obtained by integrating this from z0 to 0. So the integral dt from is the times elapsed, the time at z0, which is equal to integral dt is equal to minus under root of 1 by 2g from z0 integral z0 to z dl z into z0 minus z to the power half, which is equal to 1 upon 2g under root integral 0 to z0, changing the sign, dl by dz divided by z0 minus z to the power half into dz. Given L of z, this is a straightforward integral to determine t of z0. Now Abel's problem is the inverse of what we have discussed. What the problem consists in is that given the function t of x, we have to determine the shape of the curve L, which is a function of z. This then is a Volterra type of equation for L of z, where t of x is equal to minus under root of 1 by 2g integral 0 to x over dz of dl by dz divided by x minus z to the power half. Now this is known as the Abel's integral equation for L of z given t of x. So the function t of x is given. It involves an integral of the derivative of L over z, and we have to find L, solve it for L. Now this integral equation, this is Abel's integral equation, can be easily solved by taking the Laplace transform of both the sides. Let us call the Laplace transform of t of x as capital T of x and the Laplace transform of L of z as capital L of S. Then we get, by taking the Laplace transform of this expression, capital T of x, which is the Laplace transform of T of x, is then equal to minus 1 by root 2g Laplace transform of 1 upon root x, because into the Laplace transform of dl by dx, which is equal to minus 1 by root 2g. The Laplace transform of 1 by root x is equal to root pi by root s, and then the Laplace transform of dl by dx we have written as the Laplace transform of dl by dx itself. Now the Laplace transform of dl by dx is equal to minus under root of 2g by pi under root s t of s. So we obtain the Laplace transform of dl by dx is equal to minus square root of 2g by pi into a product of the Laplace transform ts into under root s. Now for a given ts, dl by dx, and hence Lx is known, because ts is Laplace transform of t of x, the time. The Laplace transform of t of x is known, that is capital T is known. Then L of x is known by calculating the inverse Laplace transform of the right hand side of this equation. This cannot be simply, since L inverse of root s does not exist. That is, the inverse Laplace transform of under root s does not exist, and we cannot use the convolution theorem to calculate the inverse Laplace transform of the product root s into ts. But there is a way out. We can rewrite the last equation as Laplace transform of dlx by dx is equal to minus 2g by pi s into 1 by root s of ts. And let us call ts by root s is equal to hs. Now we can use the convolution theorem. Now hx is known given t of x. Further, from the properties of Laplace transform, L inverse of shs minus h of 0 is ddx of h of x. Since h of 0 is equal to 0, hence L inverse of s into hs is equal to dh by dx. We simply have dl by dx is equal to minus under root of 2g by pi, the inverse Laplace transform of s into h of s. Hence, dl by dx is equal to minus under root tj by p, and the inverse Laplace transform of s hs is dh x by dx. Therefore, dlx by dx is equal to minus root tg by pi ddx of 0 to x dy t of y divided by x minus y. This gives the derivative of the function Lx that was, and the problem is solved. So let me now consider a solution of the integral equation. Integral 0 to x of the function f of x prime divided by x minus x prime to the power alpha is equal to x for all values of x greater than 0 and alpha lying between 0 to 1. This equation can be easily solved by using the Laplace transform. The Laplace transform of x of beta for beta is equal to beta greater than 1 is given by, let us say, by the integral, by the definition of the Laplace transform, by the integral e to the power minus x sx into x to the power beta dx from 0 to infinity, which is equal to integral from 0 to infinity e to the power minus x u by x to the power beta du by ds, where what we have done, we have defined sx is equal to u, so exponential minus Sx becomes u and x is u by s and dx is du by s. So d of s is equal to 0 to infinity exponential minus x u by s to the power beta du by s, which is equal to, since s is not integrated, s can be taken out of the sign, is equal to s to the power minus 1 minus beta, this multiplied by the integral over u from 0 to infinity of the function u of beta into exponential minus u. Now this integral is a well-known integral, exponential minus u of beta du from 0 to infinity for value of beta greater than 1 is nothing but the gamma function of 1 plus beta. So this becomes s minus 1 minus beta gamma of 1 plus beta. So let the Laplace transform of f of x is equal to capital F of s, and if you take the Laplace transform of the integral equation, so what we will do when we take the Laplace transform of the integral equation, which is integral 0 to x dx prime fx prime by x minus x prime to the power alpha is equal to x, and defining the Laplace transform of f of x is equal to f of s, we get f of s into s to the power alpha minus 1 gamma 1 minus alpha is equal to 1 upon s square, or f of s then is equal to s to the power minus 1 minus alpha divided by gamma 1 minus alpha. Now taking the inverse Laplace transform, we get f of x, which is the inverse Laplace transform of capital F of s, is equal to the inverse Laplace transform of s to the power minus 1 minus alpha divided by gamma 1 minus alpha. So inverse Laplace transform of s to the power minus 1 minus alpha is x to the power alpha divided by gamma of 1 plus alpha. Therefore the solution is simply given by f of x is equal to x to the power alpha divided by gamma 1 plus alpha gamma 1 minus alpha. We now look at the integral equation. F of x is equal to g of x plus lambda integral from 0 to x exponential of x minus x prime f of x prime, where the function g of x is given, lambda is simply a constant, and fx is the unknown function for which the equation has to be solved. As before, let us take the Laplace transform of the both sides. So we get capital F of s is equal to capital G of s plus lambda divided by s minus 1 into capital F of s, where capital F of s and capital G of s are the Laplace transforms of the function f of x and g of x respectively. From here we solve for f of s and we get f of s is equal to g of s divided by 1 minus lambda upon s minus 1, and which can be written as g of s plus lambda g of s divided by s lambda minus 1. Now taking the Laplace inverse Laplace transform of the both sides, then the inverse Laplace transform of f of s is equal to f of x, and inverse Laplace transform of g of s is equal to g of x, plus we get plus lambda the inverse Laplace transform of g of s divided by s minus lambda minus 1. So we now have the solution fx in terms of the function gx and the inverse Laplace transform of the capital Gs divided by s minus lambda minus 1, which now becomes gx plus lambda. Now inverse Laplace transform of g of s is then defined is equal to the integral over dx prime exponential of lambda plus 1 into x minus x prime into g of x prime. So the solution is simply fx is equal to gx plus lambda dx prime exponential lambda plus 1 x minus x prime gx prime. So since gx is known, so fx is obtained by just integrating gx with this in this integral is shown above. So the equation is solved. And the final example I will take is the example of the integral equation fx is equal to 2x minus lambda square 0 to infinity x minus x prime fx prime dx prime. So this is the final example which I'll take to illustrate the use of Laplace transform to solve the integral equations. Let us call capital F of s the Laplace transform of f of x. Then by taking the Laplace transform of both the sides, f of s is equal to the Laplace transform of 2 of x, which is 2 by x square, minus lambda square, Laplace transform of integral 0 to x minus x prime fx prime, which is f of s divided by s square. So the Laplace transform, the equation is now straightforward, which is f of s equal to 2 by s square minus lambda square f of s by s square, which can be solved for the Laplace transform f of s, as f of s is 2 by s square divided by 1 plus lambda square by s square, which is equal to simply 2 upon s square plus lambda. So the solution is then obtained by taking the inverse Laplace transform. The inverse Laplace transform of capital F of s is f of x, which is the solution we want to obtain, which is now nothing but the inverse Laplace transform of 2 divided by s square plus lambda square. But the inverse Laplace transform of this 2 upon lambda square plus s square is nothing but twice sine lambda x by lambda. So the solution in this case is quite simple. The solution is that the function fx is equal to 2 by lambda sine lambda x is the solution. And again, I would appreciate if you can explicitly show that this is indeed the solution to the integral equation by substituting for fx prime by this expression 2 by lambda sine lambda x prime, integrating this and show that the left hand side is equal to the right hand side. So, students, let us summarize what we have learned in this module. We have learned that the Laplace transform psi p of a function phi t is defined by psi p is equal to integral 0 to infinity exponential minus t phi t dt, and the inverse Laplace transform of psi p is given by psi t is equal to 1 upon 2 pi I, an integral over imaginary line gamma minus I infinity to gamma plus I infinity. The integral is to be done on the integrand exponential pt psi p. Symbolically, the Laplace transform of phi t is written as L of phi t equal to psi p, and inverse Laplace transform of psi p symbolically is written as L inverse psi p is equal to phi t. The strategy of using Laplace transforms for integral equation consists of taking Laplace transform of both sides of an integral equation. In doing so, some properties of Laplace transform are needed. One important property is that the Laplace transform of a function which depends on a parameter g, then the Laplace transform of the derivative of this function with respect to the parameter g is the partial derivative with respect to g of the Laplace transform of the phi. That is, Laplace transform of the function phi, or derivative of the function phi k g with respect to g is ddg of the Laplace transform of phi k. That is left further, if a is a constant, then the Laplace transform of a function of a times t is equal to 1 upon a times the Laplace function of t by a. Laplace function of d phi by dt that is derivative of the function, is equal to p times the Laplace transform of the function minus phi of 0. And more importantly, what we require is taking the Laplace transform of an integral. So the Laplace transform of an integral of the type 0 to t phi 1 u phi 2 t minus u du is equal to Laplace transform of phi multiplied by phi 1 multiplied by the Laplace transform of phi 2. That is Laplace transform of an integral where the integral has two functions, one of u, another of t minus u, integrated over the limit 0 to t is equal to the product of the Laplace transform of the first function with the Laplace transform of the second function. Thank you.